chief financial officer is determined that the local government meets the necessary conditions to participate in the program for 2010 budget year. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the governing body of the city of Bordentown that in accordance with NJAC 5:30-7.6A and 7.6B, based upon the chief financial officer's certification, the governing body has found the budget has met the following requirements. 1. That with reference to the following items, the amounts have been calculated pursuant to law and appropriated as such in the budget. A. Payment of interest and debt redemption charges. B. Deferred charges and statutory expenditures. C. Cash deficit preceding year. D. Reserve for uncollected taxes. E. Other reserves and non-disbursement items. F. And any inclusions of amount required for school purposes. 2. That the provisions relating to limitation on increase of appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A, semicolon 4-45.2, and appropriation for exceptions to limits on appropriations found in NJSA 40A, semicolon 4-45.3, are fully met, complies with the cap law. That the budget, 3, that the budget is in such form, arrangement, and content as required by the local budget law. And 4, that pursuant to local budget law, all estimates of revenue are reasonable, accurate, and correctly stated. B, items of appropriation are properly set forth. C, itemization, form, arrangement, and content. The budget will permit the exercise of the comptroller function within the municipality. And 5, the budget and associated amendments have been introduced and publicly advertised in accordance with the relevant provisions of the local budget law, except that failure to meet the deadlines of NJSA 48:4-5 shall not prevent such certification. 6, that all other applicable statutory requirements have been fulfilled. So, be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution will be forwarded to the Director of Division of Local Government Services upon adoption. Second.
Second.
Roll call, Mayor Lynch.
Yes.
Ms. Cheeseman.
Yes.
And Mr. Turkowski.
Yes.
Good. Authorizing reading of the 2010 budget by title only, whereas NJSA 48 semicolon 4-8 provides that the budget be read by title only at the time of the public hearing if a resolution is passed by not less than a majority of the full governing body, providing that at least 1 week prior to the day of the hearing, a complete copy of the approved budget is as advertised has been posted in City Hall, and copies have been made available by the clerk to the persons requiring it. Whereas these 2 conditions have been met, now therefore be resolved that the budget shall be read by title only.
Second.
Roll call, Mayor Lynch.
Yes.
Ms. Cheeseman.
Yes.
And Mr. Turkowski.
Yes.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing. This is on the budget. This was read a month ago. We gave the public an outline of what the budget was, what the cuts were. You might have forgot some of that, so we're certainly here to answer any questions you have tonight. There are no layoffs, just to give you a quick synopsis of it. No layoffs of employees, no furloughs, pensions fully funded. 2.9 cent tax increase is what we're looking at. Mrs. Ryan will give us about, on an average home in the city,
$72.
$72. With that, we open it up to the public. Comments, questions?
I do.
Nancy? Oh, sorry.
I'd just like to thank, I read in the paper the article about the budget, and I would just like to extend my thanks and appreciation for doing a very judicious job in very difficult economic times. I think it'd be hard to ask for anything better, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nancy. We're going to look right down the end of the table here. We're going to start with that young lady down the end there, Mrs. Ryan. She's the one who's the architect of the budget.
Thank you, Mrs. Ryan.
She did a great job.
I had a chance to review the budget, and I'll reiterate what Nancy had said, that I think it was put together very well. I just had a couple of questions, and this is more of a learning process for me as I start to understand these things. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to just ask my questions. I typed them up. And first question is, how much will be received from renting the tower in Gilbert? Right? It was in there, but I didn't know why is it more than what's already.
I can give you an estimate, but Heather might have to check on that. It's on a scale, sliding scale going on.
We have the rent of the cell tower will be, we got $72,800 last year. So that's what, well actually $72,867.76. And that's what we put $72,800 into the budget, realized. But it will go up this year, right? Isn't that it will go up this year?
It will go up. So we
Slightly, yeah,
can't put
slightly.
more. We can't put more than that in the budget this year. Why is that?
Well, as far as I understand, you can't put more than what you got last year.
You
So
can't
in
put
the municipal
more.
budget, right, so you can't predict, just like certain other unknown costs. So you only can put what you know you had last year.
Okay,
If you get more, you get more.
okay. Is there a lease? Do we lease it with the cell phone company?
Yes, this lease was entered into before my time. I guess what was the date?
Well, we have three leases.
Three.
We have three. We have Verizon, we have Sprint, we have Metro PC.
Okay. Do we,
And one was in 2005, I believe, and two were in 2008, and they're 25-year leases.
the 25-year leases, so they don't expire for a long time.
No, well, they renew every 5 years.
Okay,
But renew to the fact that the Sprint or Verizon at that point can choose not to continue their lease with us.
okay,
And each year, the revenues go up. Like in actuality, this year, we're going to collect $92,000 from the cell towers, but we only could anticipate in our budget, I do believe it was $88,000.
was it 88,000?
Yes,
Okay, it was 88,000.
yes,
Okay.
but we're going to receive like $92,000.
Oh, great.
One of the concerns we had when we signed the agreements was the technology changing.
Sure.
There might be a need or a time in the future where they don't even need the cell tower.
Okay,
So we had to be very concerned about how that was going to play out as we signed that agreement.
okay. Right, is now, we as the city, we own the water facility, right? There's a water tower in the township. Is there a way to rent that as well?
We discussed that with the township,
Okay.
and they were in the process of passing an ordinance, and they get to do so.
Okay, will that be additional, do we own the land or do they own the land?
Well, we would have to make it, we leased the land, I think, for 100 years. But the offer was made to them in the last administration that any revenues that we got from that water tower would be split 50%.
Okay, so it could be additional
That was
revenue.
that administration, I don't see why that was.
Okay, all right, cool. When I looked at the budget, I saw there was a Clean Communities grant. Where does that money go towards? Does that go to watering the flowers or purchasing the flowers for cleaning up the streets?
That, the clean community grant, I would say, is the recycling, right? Grant?
No.
That would be
No,
the.
the Clean Communities grant, we usually use for the sweep.
Okay. And that's something we applied for yearly, right? Or
We get that
we
yearly.
do that yearly?
No, when I was a younger person, I guess maybe 15, 16, there was a summer work
My
group.
third term, that's.
Yeah, there was a summer work group that went out and did perform a lot of tasks around the city, right? Painted curbs, did whatever the city needed done. Is that coming back, or can that money be used instead of to clean the streets to fund the kids working in the summer?
Well, in the past, they kind of stopped doing that because it became an issue with monitoring the children. I do believe, right, Bob?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
It became an issue with monitoring the children that worked on the summer program.
Well, I think it also became a budget issue as well
Okay.
at some point.
All right, so, I mean, my question is, if there's a way next year, right after the budget, to bring that back, I think that would be, use that money towards that, I think that really gives back to the kids.
We are working on a program that Carroll Hills has access to for community involvement. We're going to take a look at that.
Okay.
Sounds like a really interesting program. We're not on, I think it's James Slick or something.
The next question I have is, we had a very bad winter